Okay, so here we have a few of the items that you may need while crocheting. This is to help some beginners and maybe also give a few tips to some of the more advanced. If there are a few items here that seem a little out of place, I'll try to get some videos on how to use those, or at least how I use them, and maybe give you some tips there. Of course, first of all, while crocheting, you need your crochet hooks. There's just a few examples of how to keep those together and organized. These here is basically just the packaging that they came in the store, just a multi-pack, and I like to keep them in there. I even especially kind of like this package because it's the clamshell that snaps together, and then also you have your little wallets. These in particular were free gifts for the magazine subscriptions. You can buy them though. I'm not sure what the going rate is on them right now, but just an example of a few of the hooks that actually, most of these were the ones that my grandmother, who got me started crocheting, had given me, along with this little pouch here and a couple that are in there. These two here are just examples of hooks that you may get in some of the Learn To and How To Crochet for Kids, those little kits. I'm not really sure what the sizing is on them, and I'm sure that if I had one of like the actual gauges, I could probably tell you, but they're pretty much set up for, you know, smaller hands, kind of fat, just made up a little different than your regular. And here is your Q hook. You can actually use that as for like your if you're making a rug or doing a multiple strand, or just like the thick and quick type wool. But although I have used it for actual projects, I use it more often as the Nostipin, the little yarn winder rod. And here is more specialty items, specialty hooks. You have your double-ended hook, which you can see, hopefully, has the hook end on both ends, and it's rather long because it's meant for to use all the way across an entire piece. And then right next to that is just an extra long Afghan hook, which is again a lot longer than, say, your regular hook, which this one is here quite a bit, at least double the size of it. And then it also has your little pin there to basically to hold your yarn and keep it from falling off the end while you're doing your Tunisian type stitches. And next to that is actually from my other grandmother, who I was not aware for a long time, but she did actually do some crochet as well. This is just a 50mm knitting needle. I'm not sure if they actually sell these in pairs. I'm pretty sure I've seen them as singles, and that's mostly meant for like your broomstick lace, but there's no reason why you couldn't use like your Q hook or the S hook, which I believe is the same measurement as this one here. And of course, right next to that we have your scissors. You want to always keep those available. And here, just a quick assortment of your yarn needles. This is hopefully a lot better than this, but a little about what it would look like in the store if you were to. This was a 3-pack, or it may have been a 2-pack, but you can get them in singles, 2s, and 3s, either as one size or varying sizes. I believe this is the one that actually came with that one as well. And then this is really just a little clear pill bottle. Doesn't have to be clear, but as you can see, there's another little needle, yarn needle in there, and just to kind of give you a quick idea of how I might use that. And next to that, we have hairpins, hair barrettes. Whoops, they're upside down. May seem a little odd, but these are what I use for my stitch holders, stitch markers. It's just a lot easy. It was a lot easier for me to use these than the actual stitch markers and stuff like that. Plus, probably a little cheaper too, because I got this whole package here at the dollar store for $1, and that's one thing that I will come back to at a later time. And this here, this little like netting, is when I first had seen it, it was called a yarn bra, but I've seen it as other names as well. It usually comes in a 3-pack. I believe it is also made by Boy, in that type of packaging if you were to get it in the store. The only places I've seen it lately are in actual hobby stores. And then down here is a little tape measure, which just the other day the spring sprung on it, and kind of give you a little bit of an idea of how it works. Just pull it out as much as you need, and then that's as far as it'll go now, because like I said, the spring kind of sprung out on it. But you can just barely see, I've had this one a while, and it does say 99 cents on there, and that's pretty much still the going rate for those. I have seen where you can get like a little set with these tape measures, a pair of scissors, not this exact one, but a pair of scissors, and possibly some needles, and I think a gauge and seam ripper for a couple dollars at some of the bigger super center type stores. And okay, and now for your storage, I like to have a couple different options available. First of all these little things like, say, the hook that you're actually using, and your stitch markers, and you know, whatever little miscellaneous notions that you know you're going to be using on a particular project, I like to keep in one big Ziploc type bag, which this is actually a slider. I like the sliders a lot better because they're a lot easier to close. You don't have to worry about trying to pinch them all together and having it pop open on you, and you know, possibly spilling out like your scissors or your needles. And also there's also a trick I've heard where in order to keep your ball of yarn free from getting dirty and whatnot is to actually put it in one of these bags and then slip it up. Oops, sorry here. Slip it up so that all you have is that little bit to pull the yarn out from. Now, that would kind of be like a makeshift type yarn bra, but I usually keep it as more of a storage. Now, as far as doing my work in progress, I like to keep this little, or a tote type, kind of like this. This one I actually got at the dollar store, and it's really served me well for quite a few years. Nothing fancy, like I said, I got it at the dollar store. And here, this is just an example of some of the larger Ziploc type bags, which may also help along the way. If you don't like just the regular tote idea, you can use it like I explained with the smaller bag, just to kind of keep your work in progress together. Another example of that, whether it's storage or a work in progress thing, is one of these bigger bags, like you would get a comforter or other type of bedding from, and just to kind of keep it clean and keep it all together. And this is just a snapshot of my most recent projects. As far as, you know, that's basically my scraps left over from some recent projects. The actual stash is downstairs in a toter. So, and then another fun little thing is to just get like one of these little baskets. They come in all kinds of sizes. They don't have to be wicker. And this is just to kind of, like, if you have a few items that wouldn't necessarily fit in your little Ziploc baggie, or even just to kind of throw that in there, you know, to just kind of set aside so it's not all laid out like this all the time. And that's just one of those things that would be totally up to you. Another thing I would recommend, kind of last thing, is a notebook. Now this, I have it, it's just a regular, you know, everyday notebook, and I have it just kind of turned to my recent project journal. Quite busy actually. And that's just as a reference to myself. I didn't used to keep a journal like that, but after a while, you know, you start thinking, well, how did I do this? How did I do that? How long did that take me? If you're looking to do like maybe a gift project, like this here in the background is a gift project that I'm working on at the moment. And it's just to kind of keep some notes if you just get like a burst of inspiration, you know, stuff like that. And then with the journal as well. And along with that is just some multicolored pens or pencils, whatever you have. If you can find one of these, they're great, because all you have to do is to change color, make your note, change color, make your note, you know, just like that. And then of course that one's just a pencil. Another thing that may help along the way is an actual like graph notebook. Let me actually see it. Yeah, this is just I think a 10 by 10 graph, just basic, and that's mostly to help, like, if sometimes when you're like, especially if you're doing like a granny square type, it'll help to do the actual layout. Or like, say I have this one here, it'll give you more of an example of how to, you know, do the layout, and with your pens and pencils you can figure out your color combinations or likely color combinations that you may want to use. Okay, so like I said, that's a basic snapshot of my working stash, I guess you could say. And thanks for watching, and I'll get back on to some of those other projects that I was telling you about.